Nestled in the small town of Bishopville, South Carolina, is this world-renowned topiary garden, which attracts nearly 20,000 visitors every year. Home to 400 species of plants and 150 topiaries, this unique garden is the work of just one man. Over the last 25 years, Pearl Fryar has transformed his own yard from a cornfield into a botanical masterpiece, cutting and clipping trees and shrubs to create topiaries.
When I started, I didn't know that I was doing topiary, because usually when you think of topiary, you think of animal geometric figures or that kind of thing. I mostly created mine from more of an abstract, free-flowing skeleton look.
Pearl has accomplished this with no formal training.
I have absolutely no horticulture background. So today I'm really known as the man in Bishopville that cut up bushes.
It all began when Pearl and his wife were relocated by his job from New York City to the small South Carolina town of only 3,400 residents in 1976.
It is a small town. I had so much free time until I got into doing what I'm doing because of the lack of things to do within the town.
This pastime grew into a passion, and Pearl became determined to win Bishopville's Yard of the Month Award, which had never before been presented to an African American. Finding the resources to make his dream a reality was not easy. To begin his garden, Pearl had to salvage plants discarded at the local nursery.
I would say 50% of my plants was pretty close to being dead, and I was able to bring them back to life.
Employed full-time as an assembly line worker, finding the time to garden was another challenge.
I worked all day. The only time I had to work in the garden was at night.
Over the years, Pearl learned to garden by trial and error. Working strictly from a creative point of view, he often achieved results through uncommon practices.
According to the book, you shouldn't be able to prune dogwoods. But I've been pruning this dogwood approximately 12 or 15 years. And when this dogwood really blooms, it's like a snowball because it's so tight. Because I knew nothing about horticulture and nothing about the book, I did what I wanted to do. I don't water, I don't spray, I don't fertilize, I use no chemicals. I try to create the same environment around my plants that you find in the forest. I use pine needles around the plants, and I trench. And when it rains, the water runs off into the trench, soaks under the pine moss, and it holds the moisture.
Pearl developed his own shaping and pruning techniques, which he implements throughout the garden.
This is called a column juniper, and I decided to do my fishbone style with this one. You divide the plant in half, and you take each branch opposite each other, and you put bamboos to hold them, and remove all the growth in between. After 2 years, this should look like the one behind us. These are pruned every 4 to 6 weeks. And if you prune these plants and you have to rake the clippings, you have waited too late to prune. You're never gonna get this density pruning once or twice a year. Most people don't have the patience because we're talking here maybe about 6 years to create this design.
Pearl's patience finally paid off, and he was awarded Yard of the Month. Since then, Pearl has adopted a new goal for his garden.
I wanted to create a garden that once you walk through the garden, you walked away feeling a little different than you did when you came.
In 1995, Pearl's garden caught the attention of Polly Lafitte of the South Carolina State Museum, who featured his work in an exhibition.
I understood what he wanted to accomplish and that he had a strong story and a message he wanted to get across.
Polly helped form the nonprofit group Friends of Pearl Fryar's Topiary Garden in 2005.
With the help of the Garden Conservancy, which is a national organization whose mission is to preserve America's premier gardens, we're able to plan for the long-term preservation of this garden when Pearl's no longer able to keep it up. Pearl actually put Bishopville on the map. Pearl was able to take a very rural, very economically challenged area in South Carolina and create a tourist destination here.
Today, Pearl Fryar's topiaries are the focal point of Main Street in Bishopville, inviting visitors to stop in town and see his garden.
I didn't want a garden that looked like anyone else or something someone else had seen. I pretty much accomplished it.